If you could pass on one thing to your kids when you die, of these three things, what would it be? All of your money and stuff, all of your knowledge, or all of your experiences?
I'm actually going to go with a different one. My work ethic.
There you go. How do you teach your kids work ethic? Few people ever say money and stuff. It's always experiences, knowledge, or character traits. You're talking about a character trait.
Yeah.
And how do you pass that on? Through stories, through putting your kids through experiences in their life where they learn to overcome, where they learn the work ethic. They see you working hard. That's what matters most to pass on.
Welcome to Fatherhood Voices, breaking the toxic cycle. Dive in as real dads bear all, the mess-ups, make-ups, and every heartfelt moment in between. It's raw, it's real, and it might just change the way you see.
Welcome to another edition of Fatherhood Voices. So I'm excited today because we're putting a different spin on things. You know, we always talk about abandonment and resentment and I fucking hate my dad and all this stuff and trauma. And now we're going to do something different today. Today, I'm having a special guest, Scott Donnell, and he has a pretty cool Instagram post because his platform is dealing with money, and it's dinner table. It's called Dinner Table Family, and he's an entrepreneur, and he talks about how not just giving kids money, but having them earn it, and that resonates with me so much because when my girls were growing up, they weren't. I would never give them money; they had to earn it. So even if it was some bullshit stuff that I made up, whatever it is, they had to earn it. They had to go clean the garage, even if the garage was clean or whatever I came up with. But that was me building that work ethic to kind of give them an entrepreneurial spirit. So I'm excited to now, my last two podcasts earlier today, a lot of tears and emotions. So it's going to be nice to not cry this time and really talk about financial literacy and the importance of it. And before I start and introduce Scott, I come up from a world of entrepreneurship. I come from a world of banking, being in corporate America. And my youngest daughter, who's 20, just a couple of months ago, she came to me and said, "Hey, I want to open a bank account. How do I do that?" Oh my gosh, what the biggest punch of the stomach, because here I thought I'd been teaching them all this stuff, but in the process, somehow I was sharing it with other people, but I forgot about my kids and the journey. So, man, I felt like a jerk. So, but with that, Scott Donnell, welcome to Fatherhood Voices. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited to be here. Don't be too hard on yourself, man. If that's the only problem you have with your kids, you're doing awesome.
Oh, there's a lot, trust me. But
Yeah, we like to joke. We've coached 7 million families and helped them, and every family has crazy in it. Let's just start there. I've been privileged to work with the best families in the world and study them and find them, all over the planet and really interview and study and write about them and try to codify the best things to do family with, right? But every family has crazy, even the best. And it's never too late to fix things. That's the biggest thing people think. It's never too late. I mean, your kids are going to go to therapy anyway. Like, they're going to go for a million reasons. And the best thing we can do is say we're sorry and we love them very much and we got their back for the rest of their life.
No, absolutely. And, it's funny because as I was preparing for this episode, I started thinking about, with my oldest daughter, she's 28 now. She got all the education. She got the financial literacy. She got the going and getting the taekwondo and getting, so she got the physical experience and the belts. She got the financial. She got the every day when she went to school, she had to sell me a pencil. So she was working on a sales skills. So she got and then the middle one comes along and kind of wore you down. And by the time my youngest came around, oh fuck, forget it, dude. She just got the shit into it. I mean, she just got like, do whatever you want. There's no rules. Come and go, So they wore me down. Three girls, and they wore me down.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that Nate Bargatze comedy sketch? He's like a famous comedian out of Nashville. He's hilarious.
Really?
He does comedy on his family a lot, and he has a younger sister who's like 10 years younger than him. And he said he saw his daughter having like wine with his parents. And he was like, I'm still hiding wine as the oldest sibling. I didn't know you could have a drink with mom and dad. Like, and he's like, and apparently, like, the daughter, she's like 21 or something. His younger sister went and got a tattoo with his dad.
Oh,
And
wow.
and he said that he sat his parents down and said, I don't think she's a very good influence on you guys. You got to steer
Oh, my
clear.
goodness. What is that comedian's name again? I got to look him up.
It's Nate Bargatze.
Okay.
He's deadpan, hilarious. Yeah, he's amazing.
I'm definitely going to follow him and check him out.
Yeah. No, it's good, man. Kids are amazing. It's like the greatest mantle you could ever carry in life. That's what I always say.
Yes, and we're going to stick to that no matter what, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But the problem is nobody gets a roadmap. You
That
know,
is
you
true.
walk out of the hospital or the bathtub or however you did it, and all of a sudden you got a kid. You know, this is interesting. So we did a huge survey on families when we started Dinner Table. Okay. And just for people who are listening, Dinner Table is a coaching program. We do financial literacy app for families to help teach kids money. We teach family values. We teach relationship growth, all the stuff that you need to have a family legacy, true legacy. That's what we coach families to do. Well, we did a huge study on families before we started it. And this was insane. We asked families and kids and parents just questions about the home. And overwhelmingly, the parents said, we have no roadmap on any of this stuff. Like, they're like, we have no idea how to do the behavior, the financial skills, the practical skills, building the family values or faith or all these things. And they're just hoping that school figures it, teaches the kid. And they're hoping that sports teaches them discipline and extracurricular stuff gets them in. Like, they're hoping that someone else will do it. So they just have no roadmap. And then we asked the kids what, about the home. And, a fascinating answer we got. We asked them about money. We asked them about skills and things like that. And the number one thing kids said was, we actually don't want to deal with money and adult things because money is the biggest fight in our home.
Wow.
And that one got me because we started asking all these teens and young kids, even as young as like 6, 7 years old. We're like, what are you talking about? What do you mean money's the biggest fight in your house? Well, they're like, I see my parents arguing over bills. I see them arguing over work. And we know that, mom or dad's out working to get money. We see, them stressing over that stuff. And when they talk to us, they call us spoiled or entitled. They tell us, no all the time. They say things like money doesn't grow on trees. Do you have any idea how much that costs? We can't afford that. Right? Or here's another one. Do you guys have any idea how much this cost me and you just took it for granted? Parents say that stuff to kids without realizing it, and it gives them this entire identity around money and things, practical, like material things. And so that's really like at the heart of a lot of what we try to unpack with families and how to have the conversations and teach the right skills instead of all that kind of stuff. So anyway.
Okay, so you know what? To my family, if they're listening, my kids out there, you can go buy the damn organic vegetables today, okay? You can go buy the expensive shit, okay? So we have a little bit of money to pay for the higher price stuff. Go on, buy it. Don't look at price tags. Just this weekend only, and then it expires.
No, that's not how you do it. Well, that's great, but there's a lot here to unpack. It's how do you actually get your kids set up for the real world, and how do you mimic the real world environment with them so that they're ready for the real world? That's really what we help teach people. I'll say this though. Do you know Hobby Lobby? Have you ever heard of the business Hobby Lobby?
Yes.
So David Green is the founder. He's a great grandpa now. He's like in his 80s. And they're good friends of ours, their whole family. They're one of the 100 families in the world we studied on how to create true legacy and raise kids to blow by you. he said something to me, and it was really interesting because they're $1 billion family. Okay. These guys are a very wealthy family, but they also give away most all their money to charities and mission work and ministries. He said, anytime you give your kids something that they didn't earn, you're potentially robbing them from something in the future.
Wow.
And that really stuck with me because it's true. Like entitlement, victimhood, and spoiling and anxious kids, all those lead kind of back to parents paying for everything, buying everything, handling all the problems. The kids never go through healthy struggles. They never learn to solve problems on their own. They just expect other people to fix things for them, like mom and dad. And if mom and dad think that they're to be a good parent, all you have to do is solve all your kids' problems so that they're bubble wrapped for life. You're doing your kids a disservice. So it's about them earning and learning.
You
So
know, I love that. I just saw something not too long ago where Shaquille O'Neal, for his kids, they have to earn, I believe it's 2 or 3 degrees. I don't remember, in order to get any type of inheritance. And I think there were some other stipulations, but I love that, and when you talk about not having that entitlement and so forth and earning and so forth, it's forcing them to go out and get the academia knowledge, the educational literacy to be able to be self-sustainable for themselves and not just um, feel that they're piggybacking off, oh well, because my parents went out and made it happen, that I'm entitled. So I love that.
I think his quote was, I don't have a perfect memory, but I think Shaq's quote was, "You don't get my cheese until you have 2 degrees."
Ah, yes, that's what it was.
Yep.
Yes.
So that was the thinking. But we take that definitely many steps further. I think so much of what we do is helping our kids. Our goal is to help our kids learn these skills in the real world. And to be prepared for the real world, you have to be able to learn a bunch of skills and capabilities, right? And, here's a good example. Our kids don't do chores, which is crazy to think about. Our kids build skills in the house. So, of course, they're going to do what some would consider chores, but the way we've set it up, which is what the best families in the world have always done, is you set up an incentive structure where the kids are self-motivated to do a ton of things around the house to help you and in the community, in the neighborhood, to earn. And then they have things that they're in charge of paying for on their own. So they're self-motivated. And in the whole time, they're learning skills and capabilities to mimic life in the real world. And that is really our goal as parents. We're not raising future children, we're raising future adults.
Future thoughts.
Right? So that's the thinking. We call it the dinner table economy. You build this economy system in the home, and your kids never ask you for money and stuff, which is a big problem that parents have. Your kids are always asking you for money and stuff. And the other big problem is fights over chores and behavior issues around everything around the house. So this system solves it. And I can walk you through it if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that we're replacing word chores with skills, and then now they have the potential to earn, not just at home, but like I said, in the community, outside, and so forth.
That's right.
But
It's
before you jump into that,
yeah.
where did this start from? Like, how did you get involved with this? And um,
Yeah. Well, it started when I was a kid, but it really got crazy over the last 10 years. So when I was a kid, I come from, a lot of people have their rags to riches story. That's not me, actually. I'm standing on the shoulders of my family. I'm very thankful for this. I come from 4 generations of really successful mega entrepreneurs who never passed on the money. They gave it away to widows and orphans, and they taught me to fish, and I couldn't be more thankful.
wow.
And you see, one of the things that we teach is your kids need heritage, not inheritance. So it's more about what you leave in your kids than to them. So it's about a last name that means something rather than just dying with a ton of stuff, houses and money and cars and whatever. That's not legacy. Legacy is a last name that means something to your kids and your grandkids and your great grandkids. So it's heritage over inheritance. And so the goal is creating a family culture where you have clear values, your kids know what it means to have your last name, you're celebrating the stories of the family that matter most, connecting to those values, and you're teaching your kids and preparing them for carrying on your last name with pride. And there's a whole bunch of tools we have to help families do this, but that's the core idea. And I came from that. It's not like I was destitute and they were like, you get nothing. It was, we're not going to give you the money and stuff that will ruin you. That's the point.
Wow. When you're sharing this, two books come to mind, and that's Think and Grow Rich, and also How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Dale
Because
Carnegie.
when you follow, yes, the patterns of how he went and he studied some of the best minds that generated wealth and so forth, and then um, he, with his mindset and with his tools and systems he put in place, he was able to generate wealth and so forth. So that's what's showing up for me as you're sharing. Yeah, I would love to hear more about this. This is powerful. This is
Yeah.
powerful.
So, in my home growing up, I was shredding papers in the family business. At 6 years old, I had my first business at 8 years old in third grade selling keychains. And so it was always like, my parents, definitely we had experiences. They paid for trips and different things, but we also had things that we were in charge of on our own to pay for. And they were all about like, hey, go out and earn it. We're not going to say no for you to want to buy something, but you just learn how to buy it. You learn how to get the money for it. So it's kind of like a street smarts kind of upbringing. And our family's very entrepreneurial. So my dad and my grandpa built a bank called Inner West Bank up in the Northwest, and they grew it to 80 or 90 branches. It ended up being sold to Wells Fargo for like over $1 billion. And I was like 15 at the time or 14 at the time, and they were very clear. They're like, this is not yours. We're not just giving this all to our kids and grandkids and great grandkids. This money's going towards ministry. It's going towards people that need it around the world. And if we gave it all to you, it would just ruin you. So we're going to teach you to fish. And they help with some college stuff. They help with half a car. They helped, but it was never enough help to make me coast in life. It was I love you gift versus a coasting gift. So that was my upbringing, and that honestly is very similar to what the best 100 families in the world that we've been studying do. They're really thoughtful about how they protect their kids against entitlement and victimhood when they're growing up. So that's just a really important way of thinking about this.
You mentioned Hobby Lobby, and know the store very well, and I love the values that they follow and so forth, and they're closed on Sundays. Um, what are some other families that you studied that have also instilled these same beliefs? Because like now knowing that um, makes me want to only shop at Hobby Lobby as opposed to Michael's, just
Yeah.
because knowing that they put that in place. Because I didn't know that story. I know a bunch of stuff about Hobby Lobby, but I didn't know that. And knowing that, it just makes me more of a want to be more of a super fan for
Yeah.
them.
Well, and people don't realize this. Hobby Lobby is going to give over $1 billion this year to charity
Wow.
as a family. They only own 1% of their business. They put the other 99% into like charitable trusts for giving all over the world, reinvesting in their teams and their employees and in their company. Like it's incredible the way they've set this up. Like they
Wow.
truly believe that like God owns everything and like we're just being stewards, and they've grown a $15 billion company out of it. It's incredible. But yeah, they're just one of the families. And honestly, our metrics for studying the top 100 families, it was not money. Money is not the number one metric. Like, yes, there are some very wealthy people in that 100, but many of these families you've never heard of, you'll probably never hear of, but they have what we call true legacy. They raise kids and grandkids and great grandkids to blow by them in every way that matters. So family, values and faith. mindsets and skill sets to succeed, relationship depth and marriage and parenting, kids that learn financial skills, practical skills. They create so much value in the world. They just blow by their parents. They're not in the parent's shadow. They don't give up. They're not lazy, victim, entitled. They blow by their parents. And that is one of the most pride. Like I would be happier about that than any amount of money that you could ever give me for my kids. Think about that for a second. In fact, let me ask you this question. If you could pass on one thing to your kids when you die, of these three things, what would it be? All of your money and stuff, all of your knowledge, or all of your experiences?
Mm. I'm actually going to go with a different one, my work ethic.
There you go. Well, but
Because
let me follow up. Let me follow up with that. How do you teach your kids work ethic, right? Like, so you think about that, and obviously very few people ever say money and stuff when I ask that question. It's always experiences, knowledge, or character traits. You're talking about a character trait.
yeah,
And how do you pass that on? Through stories, through putting your kids through experiences in their life where they learn to overcome, where they learn the work ethic. They see you working hard, right? That's what matters most to pass on, right? If you saw your kids driving hard, working hard, having grit, perseverance, and when they go into the world, they're unshaken by the world, that's what work ethic does. That's what perseverance does. They're not shaken. They know that they can accomplish things and they can get through things. See, that is a greater gift to parents than any sort of money or stuff that they'd give their kids, right?
no, absolutely. And
So
it's
that's
the
the
old
thinking,
adage of you give a man a fish, you feed him for the day, but you teach a man a fish, you feed him for a lifetime.
right?
And I think about I've always thought about how we think in pictures. Oh, tell me about your house, and then you pull up pictures. And as you're sharing, I'm thinking about all the times that I created these opportunities for my kids to make money, but I was very animated about it and very just energetic and so forth. And those were the times where it was the most fun for them, where it didn't even seem like work. Um, but they were having fun with it, and then there wasn't complaining, there wasn't like pushback,
That's right.
and it was just in how it was articulated, how I shared the experience, how I introduced it to them.
That's right. See, one of the things people need to understand about kids and teens, you can try to lecture them all you want to. But the truth is, kids learn through stories. Kids learn through fun and real life experience. Okay. So instead of thinking, oh, I'm just going to sit down with my kid and talk to them about this thing, you may want to share a story from your life that teaches the same thing, right? That's how kids think. That's how they learn. That's why they love movies and shows and all these games. Like, kids think in story. Everyone thinks in story, but mostly kids and teens, like way more. And so I heard this quote. It's brilliant. It said, "Hey, if you want to kill a family, get rid of the chief storyteller.
Mm.
If you want to kill a business, get rid of the chief storyteller. If you want to ruin a culture, get rid of the chief storyteller." I mean, why do you think we're so close to World War III? It's because all the World War II vets are dying. The stories aren't being told. The lessons aren't being told through the stories. It was just under 100 years ago this happened, and we've already forgotten most of the reasons why we got into the wars in the first place. And so storytelling is so critical for the family. So what we teach in Dinner Table is we help families come up with core values, a crest, and stories to tell. And once you've gotten those set up, you become the chief storyteller of your family. And it really helps your kids identify with your last name and really feel roots in your family. And then they're 5 times more likely when they go out in the real world to carry on your values than if they're just rudderless and you don't explain clearly what your family stands for and give them those stories. Then they have no rudder. They have no anchor. They're just going to be swayed by culture and whatever culture tells them.
Now, was there ever a point when you were younger that there was any resentment that they let it be known that, hey, we're giving most of this money away, you're going to have to go and earn it? Was there that point, or was it just always ingrained from a child that this was just normalized, this was just the way we were raising our son?
Yeah, and daughters.
Daughters.
No, never. There was never an ounce of resentment from that at all. In fact, the opposite is true. I felt a sense of pride and a sense of understanding of what our family stood for. And I was given the mantle, right, to become the power mover of my generation. Son, you're going to blow by us, and we're going to set you up in every way we can, except for just making you entitled by giving you all this stuff. We're going to coach and mentor and help and give you experiences to help you grow. And we're here on your team, and we're going to do that. And that is actually one of the greatest ways to protect your relationship with your kids. The way to build resentment with your children is to entitle them, to spoil them, to turn them into victims, to give them a bunch of money and stuff. That actually is using money to bribe your kids and coerce your kids and buy their love. And that always turns out bad. That always causes later resentment, because those kids grow up like lottery ticket winners. They were given something they didn't earn. It's like a participation ribbon. Like, it actually causes more breakage in family later on in life when parents raise entitled and spoiled kids.
Powerful stuff here. When did you get this idea to now create this platform to be able to share what your upbringing was and all the skill sets?
Yeah, our family did about 35-40% of all the stuff we've learned. So that's pretty good. Like, our family did a great job. But when we've studied all these families for our last 10 years, like, we learned a ton more of, what we kind of found was most of these best families in the world, they do a lot of the same things as they raise their kids. They have their relationship, their marriage, their businesses, like how they do their life. And almost nobody else in the world does them. And so my skill was codifying it, simplifying it, and dissolving it down into simple strategies that other families could just take and run with. It's like a recipe. We literally call it the recipe. Like, we have the recipe to strong family legacy. And so it all started when I've had a bunch of companies. I'm an entrepreneur. So I've started 7 companies now. And many of them are helping kids and parents. So my first company was a school fundraising company, actually. It was called Apex. We started it. We do fun runs at schools. It was called Apex Fun Run. And we ended up, that company just grew and grew and grew all over the country. And we had hundreds of franchisees. We would raise money for schools and teach leadership and fitness and character traits. It's raised almost $500 million now for schools. It's really cool. Really cool. We started that about 15 years ago. But I started to realize in all of these schools, serving thousands of schools across America, mostly elementary and middle schools, I started to realize, why aren't these kids learning like what I would want to teach them, like practical skills and critical thinking and financial competency, right? And in my mind, I was like, if they don't learn this stuff, we're screwed. Our country is screwed. So that's really what started this journey to Dinner Table. Was we started doing children's business fairs and helping kids launch businesses online at My First Sale. And then we created an app that taught financial skills like a bank account. And it ultimately all rolled into and led to Dinner Table. So now all of that's encompassed in the Dinner Table coaching. So it's coaching, it's a home gigs financial app for the kids and family. It's workshops for the family to learn this stuff. It's different experiences and events that they can come and learn. So that's really what led us into Dinner Table. We just have to get this out to the world and teach them We're practicing alongside other parents. So we're not the guru, we're not the best of the best, but we know what the best do, and we're just trying to get better every day. So that's dinner table.
Wow, and it's unfortunate because I remember when I was in school, home economics is where they taught you the soft skills, and you learned how to balance a bank account, and you learned about credit, and the pillars of what a lot of families didn't talk about, especially if you come from another country. So a lot of minorities and so forth, it's just not spoken about. Finances isn't talked about at the dinner table, which is unfortunate. So you go to school and you just get a taste of it, but then that's it. It's just a teaser. And then you move on into high school, you move on into the real world, and now you're left to fend for yourself. And yeah, great. There's a lot of technology out there, and you can source stuff out. But you know that there's a platform to be able to start from an early age and start to teach them the disciplines, to start to teach them the work ethic, to start to teach them. Um, yeah, that's a great program. That have you ever thought about putting it into the schools or somehow?
There's no school in America that's going to get accounts for all the kids and deal with actual money. But we do have a program where schools and PTAs can start teaching this to the parents, right?
Yeah,
So, and the kids can learn through them. But yeah, that's one of the issues is you can't, especially when it comes to money, you can't homework money. You
mm,
can't you can't read a book. I don't even like the word financial literacy because you can't read money like a book. You have to do it. You have to earn it. You have to create value first and then earn the money and then learn how to save, spend, share, and invest it. Like that's really something you got to do in the real world. And, a lot of times school systems, they don't even want to talk about the subject because the teachers are struggling on their own with money and other skills and they don't know where to start. And so really all you get in school is like a little debits and credit sheet here and there, or let's count to 100 pennies, or, like you don't really have good personal finance courses in school. And some of the states are finally coming around to try to create more of it. And some of the more innovative education system, like innovative schooling, they're starting to use more of our stuff. But yeah, unless you get it right, the kids aren't going to learn any of it. And then they're going to make a bunch of expensive mistakes later on in life. So we want kids to learn this stuff early and often. And yeah, go make your first $50 and spend it on something dumb. Like you want that mistake early because then they'll learn not to make that mistake with $1,000 issue later on, right? Or a $10,000 or $100,000 thing. Like you teach this stuff early when it's a safe environment, and then they have the skills for later in life.
it's funny because I think about a friend whose son bought this $60,000 car. He's 20 years old, so went out and bought it with his own money. Um, Payments like $1,500 a month. And no matter who told him, like, no, but the insurance, but the gas, but this monster, sports car gets like, maybe 8 miles to the gallon, and he didn't learn those soft skills. And then, so now, fast forward 2 years later, and now he's got to sell it. But no, but when he went, he wanted to do it on his own, and so they didn't talk to him about, well, the money you put in is going to go towards the interest and not towards the principal. So bad deal all the way around. And as you're sharing, it's just a reminder. Now he's going like, man, I should have listened to you guys. I should have, But it's exactly what you talked about. So now he made this big mistake. He's upside down, almost $100,000. He's 20 years old, no, 21 years old, starting out in life, and now he's carrying this on him. Um, but it could have been the story could have shifted with just a little bit of education. Well, actually, a lot of education that would have started a lot sooner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And kudos for him for going out and making it happen and doing it on his own. But shame on the parents for not having these conversations, with him at an earlier age. Because I'll speak also as my youngest, like I said, did get a lot of the education about work ethic and finances, but then my other two didn't get it, unfortunately. And now I'm feeling the effects of it. The
Yeah.
effects of it, where one's excelling and the other ones are kind of still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it all comes back to this idea that this is our first strategy of legacy. It's this. Teach your kids to create value first, not money. So let me unpack this for a second. This is what all the best families do. They teach their kids to have a lens to hunt around the world and in their home and everywhere they go to try to create value for themselves and others first. Money is just a store of value. That's all it is. And it's only one type of value. There's a lot of different types of value you can create in your life. So these families took it back to like first principles thinking. They said, okay, we're going to teach our kids to create value everywhere they go in 3 different ways. The first way is material value. Material value is when you solve problems. This is like doing gigs and chores around the house, or, money is usually the result of creating material value. But then there's another kind. It's called emotional value. This is how you think and feel and how good of a sibling you can be and a friend and a teammate, all these things, right? Usually the leader of any situation is creating the most emotional value, or the captain of every sports team. They're the leader on the team. Like they're creating emotional value. And then there's spiritual value. This is a whole nother bucket. Spiritual value is how you love people, how you connect to God. You're growing eternal value, connecting to something above yourself and being selfless and getting outside of your own pride and ego, right? Like anybody can do that at any time. I think I'm a Christian. You don't have to be a Christian to see the value of these 3 buckets, but I think Jesus is like the greatest source of spiritual value to ever exist, right? So that's the 3 buckets: material, emotional, and spiritual. And when you focus on that with your kids, you can teach them, hey, in any situation, no matter how much you have or don't have, you're not a victim. You're not entitled. You can create value anywhere you go at any time. And it just compounds over time. And so the best question parents can ask their kids like every day is, what value did you create today? Who did you create value for today? And when you do that, you start to give them this worldview, this mindset, like, oh, wow, I have power. I have like a superpower. I can go create value in all these different ways at any moment. Okay. So that's the first one. And it's a game changer for people. Game changer. Kids are starting to find ways around the house to help out, find ways to go earn money, find ways to help their siblings, find ways to help in class. They're always just creating value. It's like a nonstop boulder rolling down a hill. It's the best way to go, rather than what most people do, which is like buy everything, pay for everything. They don't give their kids the capabilities. They maybe give them an allowance to try to teach them about money, which is basically a codependency, because your kids should never get the same amount of money every week, and they should never get money just for existing. That doesn't teach them the real world, right?
No, I love that. One of the emotional intelligence things that I've started to implement is, well, my kids are adults now, but sharing with my platform is share with your kids, how did you fail today in school? What kind of failures did you have? Because when they get comfortable with their failures, then it's going to give them this mindset that it's okay, and they're going to take risk, and they're going to try new things, and they'll try these businesses, and they're not going to feel like judgment or, oh, I don't want to go in front of the camera and maybe do some type of TikTok store or something because they feel like people are going to judge them. So that's one of the big things that I've been really pushing is, hey, yeah, you want to talk about the wins, but let's talk about the losses also, because then you're an adult and you're struggling with the fear of taking risks. And so I love this platform.
Yeah, we call them healthy struggles.
Healthy struggles.
Your healthy struggles are the only way your kids can learn capabilities and skills. It's the only way they learn inner confidence, right? Because once you overcome something, you learn it, like a skill in sports, or overcoming something in school, or learning a new way to, do laundry or pack for a family trip, or yard work, or, organizing a closet. All these things are skills, right? Planning a family trip. These are all gigs. We call them gigs they can do around the house. All of these teach capabilities and skills, and they give the kids inner confidence, and then it allows them to create more value. So it's like a cycle. So you want them to go through as many of these like healthy struggles that are good for them, so that they can learn this resilience and work ethic and perseverance and inner confidence. Like that is key for kids, is not you just telling them every day they're smart, they're pretty, they're funny, they're good at soccer. Those are good to say, but they don't build inner confidence. They
Mhm.
build outer confidence, which can be easily shaken.
And so then dinner table with the family, when can you start to introduce that to the kids?
Oh, young. I mean, we have families that are pregnant with their first kid going through this stuff. But we have a quarter system that ages 2 through 5 start with. The value creation starts at 4 or 5 years old. We have tons and tons of kids making thousands of dollars in the neighborhood, around the house. They're covering their own expenses. They're saving mom and dad a bunch of money. They're learning all these things. No more fights over chores. No more asking for money and stuff. This starts early, but it's also never too late. We have families with kids in their 20s. We have families with grandkids that are just applying this stuff for the first time. And so it really is, like I said before, it's a recipe. You just start putting the recipe in place. We've got about 12 strategies that you just put them in the home as a process. You focus on them, and it really helps with relationship, values, practical skills, financial skills, and stronger families.
Now, the platform, I know it's for parents to educate their kids, but is there also another site that educates the parents?
Oh yeah, it all educates the parents. Everything we teach for their children is applicable for them, right? Value creation is almost more applicable for adults than it is for kids because the stakes are a lot higher. And if you move the needle a little bit in your own life, it has massive impact. So yeah, everything we teach is teaching the parents, because I look at it like Pavlov's dog, right? You don't train the dog, you train the owner.
Yeah.
So with us, you don't own your children, but the point is the same. Like, you have to teach the parents for this stuff to be able to happen in the house, right? That's the only way that kids can learn, is if the parents understand this stuff and then put the structures in the house where the kids start to grow.
Wow. And so, what does this program look like? So, for people that are looking to now start to instill these beliefs and values and change the word chores to skills. So I really love that. I really want you to watch. I knew we were going to start. You were going to start to share that, but I love how you just shifted the whole. No, you're not doing chores. You're learning skills.
Yeah.
And but yeah,
Yeah, we call that the economy system, the dinner table economy. Like, there's a way to set up chores that's not chores, but you get way more help from your kids and way less conflict over it. And they learn money skills, right? And they learn, because there's things in the house you should never pay for. You should never pay your kids to make their bed and clean their room, or dishes and trash, or getting their homework done first. We call those expectations in the home. But on top of those, you should have a big old menu of ways they can earn. And they can use that money for saving, spending, and sharing, and paying for expenses that you give them, like birthday presents and social outings and toys and trinkets and stuff like that, right? They have to learn that stuff. It's the only way they're going to learn to budget, or the price of goods, or delayed gratification, all that stuff. So we have those systems that we teach. So people can just go, and I can give you a link
yeah,
to send to everybody, but they just go into our dinner table program, and you can sign up for our parenting community. We have a giant free community of families, and then we have a $30 a month program where you get all these tools and you can start implementing them. And then it goes up from there if you want to join a workshop, or if you want to come to one of our events and start practicing this stuff. But the return on this is huge. I mean, you're going to cut the cost of raising your kids in half by implementing this. There's a huge win right there. Not to mention, when they grow and get older, you'll be tighter with them. You'll be way more connected, and you won't have to deal with a lot of the pain that older parents deal with when they mess this stuff up. And that's priceless. I don't know what the value is of that, but it's huge.
no, I love that. When you talk about the kids, okay, so the kids are learning these skill sets and new value systems and beliefs to earn money. Now, in the program, so once they earn the money, are they free to spend it um, as a choosing, or is it like no? Now you have to put 20% away for savings and et cetera. What does that look like as you're starting to shape these minds of these kids and educate the parents? Because I
Yeah,
know for me, my thing was always, oh no, you got to put 20% away for savings. But dad, so
yeah, yeah. You definitely want to split the money for sure.
okay.
But it's when we talk to kids and teenagers about it, we say, "Hey, your money needs different jobs. You have to give different jobs to your money when you make it." So the first job you should give your money is to save and invest, right? So the job of that money is to make sure that if there's ever an emergency or something, you're good to go. But also, the job of the investment money is to go make more dollars. So the job of this money is to go make more money. Okay, that's its job, and you never want to change that job. You might want to change the investment you do or whatever, but you never change the job of that money. That their sole goal is to go make more money. But then there's another job for this money. See, this money we call share. So the dollars that we're going to share with others, there is no strings attached. We are giving it to people who need it. And the reason we do that is because that money's job is to help us have an abundance mindset. We have more than enough to go around. The pie is going to get bigger for everybody, and you want to have that kind of a mindset going into your life. So the job of that money is to help you remember that there's more than enough to go around, and it's our role to give some of what we have to help other people who need it. And then there's another kind of job for your money, and that is to cover your expenses, right? That's our spend jar. So the job of that money is to pay for the things you need to live today or this week or month. So some of that stuff is a need. Some of that stuff is a want. You should probably cover your needs before your wants, right? So that's just simple. You just tell them like 20% to save and invest, 10% to share, 70% to spend. And that's what they do. Our app auto splits it for them, right? And then they see where it goes. They see it fall into the different accounts. And then their spend jar is what they get to buy expenses with, right? So a toy, a trinket, a game, a social outing with friends, saving up, for something a little bit bigger, a bike, a phone, technology. Birthday presents for friends is one of my favorite expenses to give kids because they actually learn generosity when they buy the present. If you buy the present and they just throw it on the table, they'll never learn it. Like my daughter just went to a party. She's 8 years old, but this was a few months ago. She got the present from Target, $12. She wrapped it, brought it to the party. Nobody else they didn't even open the presents at the party because all the other parents just bought it. Well, Reagan goes in and she asked halfway through the party if the birthday boy could open her present because she wanted to see his face. And it's because she paid for it. She earned it. Now she knows what it's like to earn something and give. So he opens her present. They sit down in the middle of the floor at the ninja gym, and he opens it. He's super excited, gives her a hug. She's beaming from ear to ear. And all the other parents are like, what the heck just happened? Right? I was like, she's learning generosity for life. That's the key. So that's why this is so important. You can't homework this stuff. You can't just give your kids free stuff. They'll never learn these skills otherwise.
Wow, that's one of those priceless teaching moments in time that you really can't put a price tag on. And to instill that and teach that to your children at such a young age, and just to see how that's going to unravel in her life as she gets older, and how generosity is going to be a big part. And it's not just coming from just, oh, okay, let me just she's actually experiencing it. She's seeing um, the emotional and psychological effects of the happiness and the joy. Yeah, that right there is wow. Hats
That's
off
right.
to you on that.
Thanks, man. It's a good way to go. It's a good way to go.
Yes. So if people want more information on your program, they want to. I'm definitely gonna start with the newsletter. I was just taking a peek inside, and yeah, I'm gonna definitely explore this and dive a little bit deeper. So, how can they get in contact with you? How do they go to the platform?
Yeah, just I'm Scott Donnell is on my socials, or Dinner Table Family is the company's socials that we put out a lot of content, and they can join our community. join our coaching program, get the app, start implementing the gigs in the house and teaching this stuff. But really, it's just, spend some time being with our coaches, spend some time in our community to start to realize if you get just some of this right, it is a massive win for your family for many, many decades to come. Okay. Because I'll say this, you could, if you raise your kids the right way, then you can have some fun spoiling the grandkids. All right. I'll put it that way. You'll have an amazing grandparent life. But if you spoil your kids, I guarantee you'll be raising your grandkids. And that's where we have to really think through this. Like, put the time and investment in. Your family is your number one investment. And you are part of your family. So investing in yourself is important too. But your family should be your top investment. And that's what we offer. So your kids are not an expense, they're an investment. So treat your family that way. And Dinner Table is like the only platform I've ever seen that does that, treats them that way. So yeah, I just want to welcome everybody. And I hope I get to meet a bunch of people listening.
Wow. Thank you for this powerful episode. And, normally we end with fatherhood voices breaking the toxic cycle. But I'm going to change that today. And it's going to be with fatherhood voices, let's break the financial toxic cycle, because for so many of us, it's always been just ingrained in us that talking about money at the dinner table was just taboo. It's just something you don't talk about. But here now we're getting a whole different perspective about not only changing the beliefs in your children, it's not chores, it's skill sets, and building up just the education around generosity and saving and all the principles that are going to make them successful in life. And it's going to be a lot less expensive for you parents, because now they're going to be self-generating, and you're not going to have a bunch of adult kids living at home with you. So
there you go.
Hey,
Close the bank of mom and dad for good. There you go.
absolutely. Hey, thank you, Scott. You have a wonderful weekend, and thank you for what you're doing to empower and educate families all over the world to be self-sustainable as the dynamics of this world continue to change.
Absolutely. Thanks, man. Appreciate the time.